And we'll get going here. It being the evening of Wednesday, October 26th at 7 o'clock, and a quorum being present, I'll call the meeting of the Bellingham Conservation Commission to order pursuant to Governor Baker's signing of Senate Bill 2475, an act related to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency as extended by the state legislature in July of 2022. The Bellingham Conservation Commission will meet utilizing the Zoom online option. Instructions and invitations are available at the town website at www.bellinghamma.org. In the event of technological difficulties, remote access is not guaranteed and the commission cannot be held responsible. Moving forward in this meeting, the chair instructs the administrator to withhold access to speak at the meeting until or unless such persons requesting to speak are visible on screen and respectfully request such access. Okay, Noel, have you got Ariane? Okay. So we have a full complement of commissioners tonight. So we will move to the first continuation of the evening. The Bellingham Conservation Commission will hold continuations of public meetings in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bellingham Wetlands Protection Bylaw on the notice of intent for the proposal to construct a commercial building with associated stormwater management system located within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands at Assessor's Map 4, Parcel 72, 455 Hartford Avenue. Mitch Maslanka, Goddard Consulting, Northborough, Mass. Has submitted the filing on behalf of Moshe Atayas, Darn Properties, Milford, Mass. The continuations will be held online via the Zoom option on Wednesday, October 26th at 7 o'clock. Okay. The administrator received a request for continuation today.
No, a couple days ago.
A couple days ago. In order for the applicant to properly respond to peer review comments. So it didn't make any sense to have the applicant attend only to be told that we had no peer review response. So with the applicant's request, I'll entertain a motion to continue the hearing to the evening of November 9th at 7:45.
So moved.
We'll give that one to Vice Chairperson.
No, Noel got it.
All right, Noel.
Photo finish.
Thanks. I say so moved.
Okay,
Second.
Ariane. Is there any discussion in the matter?
Cliff, just to be clear, you had said that it didn't make sense for the applicant to attend, only to be told that we have no peer review in feedback. You mean there are comments back from the peer review? The peer reviews have been completed, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure that was clear for the record for Tina.
Yes,
She got
that
that
is right.
because it sounded almost like it flipped. I know what you meant. Okay. All right. Thanks.
Okay. No further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, I heard everyone. That's a unanimous vote. Okay, before we proceed with the next continuation, and did you contacted Wall Street?
I did, but I didn't hear back from him, so.
Okay, so I know Paul McManus is here representing the client, his client, but we can accept a set of minutes that have been distributed. It's the minutes of August 10th. We're still working on the 28th and the October 12th ones, but we expect to have those by our next meeting. Are there any comments, observations, or corrections for the minutes of August 10th?
Not since I've contributed.
Hearing none, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes for August 10th.
So moved.
Mike,
Second.
Brian, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's by unanimous vote. I'd like the administrator to give an update on the Farm Street project.
Yeah, so we were very fortunate to, and I thank all of you for taking the time to come down and sign that deed for us. As you know, I was in front of the Board of Selectmen earlier this month for acceptance of that land donation. And they approved it. We had their notarized signatures, and then the commission voted to accept the land. So that was all sent out to the attorneys for recording last weekend. And by Tuesday morning, I was notified that the transfer had taken place. So thank you all very much. I think this is a really fun thing for us to do for a change, is to acquire land for open space. And it was a good project. It went very smoothly, and
Indeed it did.
I have to say it was one of the quickest review and recordings since we've been on the board, and it's most appreciated. It's a marvelous piece of property, very limited development potential, enormous habitat values, budding a heron rookery, vernal pools, the whole 9 yards. And to preserve it, it's a worthwhile effort. So thank you all for your efforts on behalf of the property that's now the 19 acres. It's now owned by the commission. I want to remind everyone about the importance of a site visit that we have coming up on Saturday, November 5th. Is that on everyone's calendar?
Yes.
for those of you who, it's a fifth, right? It's at 8:30.
8:30. We're meeting behind Home Depot. This is going to be important. We expect to have our peer reviewer out there with us as well. So just want to put that on the radar. Don't want to have to get the police to drag people out of their houses area.
Ooh.
All right.
I'll try to set a few alarms.
And we anticipate about 4 hours, Mr. Matthews?
No.
No,
3,
Nope,
2?
we're not
6.
going to,
no.
no, we're not gonna do that kind of, I think, and I see Paul McManus is there. I think this one got a little away from us. We did not anticipate a 4-hour site walk is like more than what we usually do. So
Brian,
No,
Brian was even there for somebody. Yes, Brian.
back to my, so what are we anticipating for a time frame?
I'm gonna say a couple of hours.
Okay,
Okay. So is there anything else here that you,
No.
I think we're in pretty good shape there.
Mhm.
Paul, you obviously got our administrator's email asking if it was acceptable to move the hearing up because of the continuation request. Usually consultants, applicants, the public, and the commission appreciate moving things forward. I
As
see
do I.
Lou is not present. Have you had a conversation with him?
I have, and Lou had a family matter that he had to attend to. So you get just me tonight.
So you've got the green light. Or we have the green light.
You have the green light, and basically, as I understand, you just are looking for a kind of an update status report.
Yeah, I think, I know that Lou had requested a continuation. And what we told him is because we spent so much time in the field, we wanted to put on the record the results of what we saw in the field, and the fact that we made, no decisions or no official determinations, but we have to get everything or much of what we saw in a nutshell on the record.
Sure.
Okay. So, since the applicant has granted their consultant the ability to let us proceed, I will open up the continuation. The Bellingham Conservation Commission will hold public hearings in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act, General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bellingham Wetlands Protection Bylaw on the notice of intent for the proposed 19-lot residential subdivision entitled Prospect Hill Estates, located at Assessors Map 69, Parcel 87, and Map 64, Parcels 20 and 22, off Lake Street, Bellingham, and Prospect Street, Franklin. The project includes 19 residential lots, roadway, utilities, grading, and stormwater management system. The project proposes impacts of 35 linear feet to bank, 80 square feet of land under water bodies, 490 square feet of bordering land subject to flooding, 580 square feet of bordering vegetated wetlands with 1,200 square feet of replication, and total impacts for riparian area of 126,674 square feet. That includes 52,000 square feet of inner riverfront area, 74,000 square feet of outer riverfront area. Paul McManus, Ecotech, Worcester, Mass. has submitted the filing on behalf of Lou Petrozzi, Wall Street Development, Westwood, Mass. The continuations will be held on the evening of Wednesday, October 26th at 7:15 via the Zoom online option. Okay. I think as we mentioned informally, it was a lengthy site visit. We had several areas of concern, and we want to memorialize those for the record. Somewhere, okay. So one of the first things that we did was to, evaluate and identify the degraded riverfront area based on the regulatory directive of no topsoil. And we had the consultant's licensed professional soil evaluator present to review the work that the consultant's representative Ecotech, Paul McManus, had performed. And we found in many areas that the line that Paul had identified in the field was acceptable to the commission. There was an area of question where it looked like the degraded area might be expanded. That's going to require further evaluation between Mr. McManus and the peer review consultant. There was another area where the presence of topsoil was a little more difficult to determine, and at the rather than do a foot by foot evaluation for 150 feet of area, the applicant agreed in the field to just eliminate that area from the degraded riverfront designation.
All right, what if I, just to clarify, Mr. Chairman, what we said, those, I had flags open-ended running down the old railroad grade. And basically what I've instructed GLM Engineering to do is to eliminate from the plan the last three flags on either side. So it's basically truncating that, I don't know, 3 flags distance, I don't know, 150 feet or something, whatever that distance is for 3 flags on either side. So you don't have those plans yet, but that's been my instruction.
Okay, right, so I was gonna ask for that additional information. In fact, Paul, what we'll do is we wrap this up. There's a list of things that we're gonna need to get from you. And
Perfect.
I want you to pass that on. Some of these things are things we've been asking for, but we'll get to that.
Okay,
And then from that point, we looked at the crossing area relative to the enforcement order. And, you know, we left that, it was a gray area. We were going to speak with town council relative to what the regulations speak to in terms of maintenance of culverts, bridges, and waterway conveyances. And we, you know, it was a contention of you and the applicant that it's normal maintenance for roadways, driveways, access to commercial properties. And it was our suggestion that perhaps, you know, access to a gravel pit that has been used infrequently in the last 2 decades didn't qualify for that. We're still working on that. My research has indicated that the regulations are silent on that. We're going to talk to town council relative to the fact that there may be potentially some case law that we're not familiar with. And so we're working on that. But I think you, Paul, were going to speak about the designation of mean high annual
mean annual high water.
well,
never
that's
put that
not, no, they call it something else, but yeah, that in relative to bankful, you fled the coop before we had an opportunity to look at the notes that you said that you had. So we're hoping that you'll forward that to us. And from that point, we moved over and looked at the trees and debris that had been placed in a riparian zone. The applicant agreed that the material had to be removed. I think that our consultant, the commission, and yourself were in agreement that under close review, that the areas of impact were herbaceous, and that this would be an appropriate time for removal of that material. Subsequent to that, we have received a request about the methodology for removing it. Paul, you've seen that letter, right?
Yes, I have. I have it. I can bring it up if you want.
Has the commission seen that?
It was sent to the commission.
I think Ian distributed, what I meant was.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You weren't asking me.
I read it, but I don't know anybody else.
You know, did our consultants get it?
I can speak to that. Matt Byrne, BSC Group. I don't believe that I've received anything in that regard.
Okay, well, what we don't want to do, Paul, we can't have people presenting information the night of the hearing because it's very difficult for people to consider it. But we have looked at it, and what he did is, now you can step in if I'm misspeaking here. It looked like since we've been out there, a large pile of dirt or loam has been placed in front of the access roadway, and it would make it difficult for a pickup truck and necessary equipment to go down there and to perform the removal, the grinding, the chipping, and you know, removal from the site. And the applicant had requested whether or not they could go in there with an excavator and just grab the stuff and pull it out. I think my personal opinion in the matter is that, you know, if you're going in with a pickup truck, pulling a chipper, maybe a dump truck to load, it's a little less aggressive than a large, heavy tracked vehicle, which might create some surface damage to the riparian zone where the line's been truncated, where much of that material has been deposited. Paul, do you have a feeling on that or?
Yeah, I mean, it's the material is big enough that you really need a track machine to pick it up, and you need a full size tree chipper. So it's not a pickup truck kind of operation.
Okay.
So I do agree that if you could get a chipper in there, and even a big chipper in there, and basically feed it at the location where the material is, there would be less ground disturbance than a machine marching back and forth to bring up to that sandy area on the road in. But I think I think you need to realize that it is pretty substantial material, and there does need to be a substantial machine to move it in any event.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
given that there's an inner riparian zone, number one, number two, that material shouldn't have been put there to start with, and number three, that the applicant's construction crew, whoever was that moved that pile of fill in the way of where potentially we were going to have it access for a larger machine to get through more readily up the access road there in the front of the site. I'd say our priority should prevail that that area not get disturbed. If for some reason this project falls through and they're dragging trees, which they have to do, they have to drag it out, is what he's put in the proposal. That's going to damage that area somewhat, surface damage, but damage it. And then if that area doesn't get approved to have stuff happen, then we've damaged at the edge of a resource area. So I think the hardships have been created by the applicant, and I'd say let them undo the pile of debris, or the dirt and stuff, and that's a bulldozer pushing some stuff. It's not a huge deal, I don't think.
Well, a bulldozer is a large tracked vehicle too.
Right, but that's in the front of the site where it's already totally devastated. I mean,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
push the pile of dirt and stuff that's blocking the access road out and do it the way he was suggesting, which is roll in whatever size large chipper that he has to in a dump truck to chip it into, and not drag trees out. I think we all agreed that dragging trees out was not a good idea. And when I saw that in the proposal, I was like, why? And then I saw the pile of stuff and I said, that's on his contractor for putting that stuff there. He should have talked to him, or the contractor should just be willing to move it. It's dirt. I mean, he can push it out of the way. That's my opinion, but.
Okay, so I can see what Paul's saying on this as well. These are large trees, so in order to do it in a minimally invasive fashion, what we're looking at doing is having a crew of people go in there and cut the trees up to manageable size where they can be hand loaded into a chipper and put it into a dump truck. That's going to be pretty labor intensive, and I mean, but I think for the riparian zone interest, it would probably be much less impactful. Is there any other methodology that could be used, Paul? And do you think?
I think the options that I can think of are a big chipper, that you drive in and then back down, or as you said, a lot of chainsaw work.
Is there a way to move in a large chipper and then move in the excavator rather than pull the trees out, move in the excavator to lift the trees and then put them into the chipper and then move have the chipper loaded in rather than run the track vehicle in and out?
Yeah. That's the distinction that I was making. You had described a pickup truck, and I was saying that it's beyond a pickup truck scale.
Okay.
But that in order, that there are chippers big enough to take that material, but in order to lift the material and feed the chipper, you need a fairly substantial piece of equipment.
Okay, so what we could do is we could do something along those lines and then not have to move the the trees out. You know, like a few at a time, you know, with a grabber on an excavator, which would necessitate a dozen trips back and forth. What we're looking at here is you go in, you bring in the chipper blows it into a truck, and then the truck drives out, and then you keep doing it until the material's gone, and then the track vehicle and the chipper are pulled out.
Okay, can I leave a little bit of flexibility, because I don't know in terms of costs, labor versus equipment, that your other option of, you know, chainsaw into logs into a truck and out, or chip in place with, you know, basically as small a machine as will do the work, but in either case no multiple trips back and forth.
That's what I think does the commission?
I think, Mr. Chair, I think we want no tracked vehicles if possible, so rolled wheeled trucks or trucks with a claw on the back to pick up the chunks of trees, and whether it's feeding them into a huge chipper pole, like you were saying. I think that's what we like, than a track vehicle, because I think the tracks are damaging themselves. And then absolutely no dragging of the trees further than from the edge of where they're piled into the back of the, or into a chipper or whatever, right there on site. And I think the applicant was clear on the sidewalk that we're not wanting any, it's the thing he asked if we wanted the chips like left on site. It's clear that all the chips should be taken off site, correct?
Yeah.
That's been my understanding throughout.
Okay, good.
All right.
All right. Any input from Matt Byrne?
The only thing that comes to my mind, and I don't know if it's feasible or any better, is, you know, the log trucks that could probably go down and get all that material in maybe a couple of trips. You know, the trucks they use to deliver swamp mats and stuff with the big grapple on the back.
Picker.
Mm.
Yeah. You know, it's usually a 10-wheel truck. You might get down there with two trips. Again, I don't know if it's feasible, but it might be less impact than actually bringing a chipper, you know, the truck with a chipper and dump trucks, multiple dump trucks. You know, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, I guess, no, I appreciate the thought. And again, that's somewhat akin to the chairman really started the notion of, you know, cut it, throw it in a truck and haul it out. Your version is cut it into big pieces, throw it in a truck and haul it out. And
Yeah.
you know, basically you'd have to limit to stack them on the truck. And as you said, I think it would take multiple trips, but certainly less disruptive than an excavator marching back and forth.
Yeah.
So I think, Paul, you have an opportunity here to interact with your client to kind of express our wishes, and
Yep.
then come back with a recommendation. I think you know where the commission's wishes lie, so.
Okay, no, I understand. I mean, I view this as the bottom line is no dragging out, no multiple trips with a track machine. Basically, get it out of there either in chips or in you know, logs of one length or another, with as few trips as feasible. Does that sum it up sufficiently?
I think so. Is the commission okay with that?
Mr. Chair, do we need to consider, I know it's herbaceous layer there, they haven't, you know, laid it down on top of a lot of wetlands or, you know, a lot of small trees and so forth as best we could see, but once that area is stripped clean of the debris that's piled there, I'm wondering whether nothing has grown up for a while there. I don't know exactly how long that material's been laying there, but it's going to be a fairly raw area. Do we need to have them throw some sort of seed mix that's acceptable or spec by maybe Matt or somebody that would help stabilize a little bit? Of course, that all depends on timing. Now may not be the right time to do it. And the other thought I had was, do we want to require that they do this when the ground is first frozen, so to minimize the impact on the tracking of vehicles and so forth, rather than just before it starts to rain or just after it's raining or something like that?
I think it's pretty substantial. I mean, where the area is, it's the old railroad grade. And then there's the, you know, the access in and out is the old mine road, and it's, you know, and it's pretty gravelly soils throughout. So it's not a muddy area. With respect to the possible replanting, I guess I would suggest that we just see what it looks like when the material's up. I mean, you have an enforcement order that's, you know, that we're hopefully gonna take a big step towards getting the end of, but it's still, it will still be out there.
Well, if I recall, I think the herbaceous, there was no shrub layer. And the herbaceous layer was like Lycopodium, wintergreen, there were some mosses, grasses, and I'm not a grass person, but they look like upland field grasses, and the kind of things that have a pretty good root system. And if there's a little surface damage at this time of year when the vegetation tends to die back, I think it would probably be there would be minimal damage. Matt, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Cliff. That seems to be the right, correct analysis of things, and I would expect, you know, it's the sort of thing, once it's cleared off, we can take a look at it, as Mike was suggesting, and kind of go from there. Yeah, but
Is that okay, Mike?
Yeah, that's fine. I just didn't want to leave it unsaid that, you know, it turned out, how long has the material been laying there? I don't think the applicant said. There was some discussion about that, how it got there and so on, but it was kind of vague, I thought, when we were on site, at least. Do we know if it's been there a year, 6 months, many years?
No, it's not. It's definitely not many years. I don't know. I'm trying to remember, because I mean, it was trying to remember the timing, because it wasn't there on my first time I was there, and then I'm gonna say it's on the order of 6 months, or I don't think it's been a year. It's definitely not many years.
Some of it look pretty dried out, but you know, I'm just thinking the longer it's laid there, the less it's grown up through it or underneath. It's pretty thick where it is. So anyway, yeah, I'm fine, Mr. Chair. It sounds like you pretty got it covered.
I was out there in April for the soil testing, and it was there then, but it looked like it had been deposited there relatively recently. So 6 months.
Yeah, that's consistent with my memory.
So what the applicant has requested in his response is that he'd like to proceed with this in the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to ask Paul to speak with him, because I think in this situation, the sooner the better. And it's better for everybody to get this part of the enforcement action off the table. So Paul, if you could come up with some sort of a recommendation that we can distribute to the commission for consideration, I'd appreciate that.
Okay, so do we, at this point, I mean, we have kind of some parameters, there's some flexibility within that. I mean, do we need to pin that down more, or can we just go forward within those parameters?
I think that what we need to do is to present the alternatives and then have the applicant make a decision on which one we want to use, so that the commission, our consultants, everybody knows what's going on.
Okay.
All right. And now, from that point, the commission walked across the site to evaluate the access, the potential access for alternative 4. And without getting into specificity on the field conditions, I think it seemed that access road would be, from an engineering standpoint, possible. And that will get me, Paul, to the items that we're going to need the applicant to present as soon as possible. Now, one of the things we noticed when we were in the field, and it's been one of our complaints all along, is that the plans are so busy, it's difficult to identify the resource areas it's just, it's very difficult. Now, some of the plans we were dealing with were 60 scale, some of the plans are 40 scale. What we're going to request is that for the resource areas, 40 scale plans be provided. And it's not a big deal to color code the lines for the 25-foot no disturbance zone, the 25 to 50 limited disturbance zone, the 50 to 100-foot buffer zone, of the inner, the outer riparian zones, and the degraded riverfront area, and color code them. It makes it so much easier. And then what we're going to ask is that these areas be identified in square footage individually, because we need to do a comparative analysis with alternative 4. And we already asked Rob Truax if he would please provide us with the specificity relative to the 25-foot no disturb zone impacts, and the 25 to 50 and the 50 to 100, so that we can compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges. Because yeah, I mean, that's so we've asked for it, and so we're gonna ask again. This is going to be required information in order for us to comprehensively evaluate the alternatives.
I can tell you, Mr. Chairman, that Rob has been working on for that alternative 4 coming around the north side that you're describing. Initially on the alternatives analysis, he just did a kind of a right-of-way layout analysis. He has been doing the engineering to figure out what that would really look like to get it in there, you know, along the town property to the north, and then make the turn going up and over or through, whatever the case may be. If you remember, there's a rise after you make the turn. So he's been working on that to actually get, frankly, get a much better handle on what, you know, what that would need to look like, rather than just the right of way. So I believe that's just about done. The next layer to that would be what you described, which is to carve out all the different, excuse me, carve out all the different areas of buffer zone and any BVW impacts. So I understand. I took notes, as you probably saw, about your color coding, and also not only color coding, but the tally for the various alternatives, the tally of the various areas that you just ran through.
Good. That makes the comparative analysis a heck of a lot easier.
No, I agree, and more meaningful, frankly.
Right. And I think the last item is that I think we're still waiting for the responses to the peer review. I think we had a peer review going back to July. I don't know if strategically it makes more sense to wait for Rob Truax's information and then submit that as part of the peer review. And then we can compare, you know, from an engineering standpoint and an environmental standpoint, the two alternatives. Does that make sense to you, or should we direct the applicant to respond to the original peer reviews from earlier in the year?
These are engineering review comments you're referring to, correct?
I think there are some engineering comments, and I think there are environmental comments as well.
Okay. I just didn't. I'll dig it out, but I didn't recall that there was that there were essentially comments in my lap. I thought they were all in Rob's, but that's.
There was a lot of zoning. Well, Matt is here.
Yeah. I'm frankly trying to remember if we did. They may just be engineering comments. Trying to look for the first notice of intent letter that went out.
Yeah, I know there was information on August 8th a lot of it pertaining to the zoning. But there was something before that, and I can't put my hand on it.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
if I may, heck, Dominic Rinaldi with BSC Group.
Yeah.
Sorry, something
Yeah.
just opened right in front of me. So just to refresh everybody's memory, we did submit a peer review letter, and because planning was having a hearing before conservation, we focused on getting the planning part done first, and then we added to that afterwards. We have just recently, I think last week, gotten a response to at least that planning part of it.
okay,
So we do have that, and we started to look at it mostly from Paul, mostly from Rob. I don't think there's actually anything from you. I think it's all from Rob. So we are looking at that.
Excuse me, Dominic, I have, doing the same as everybody else. I have letters from BSC dated August 3 and August 8.
Yeah, and basically what we did was we got the August 3 was, I think it was entirely planning related. And then the August, what'd you say, 8? I don't have it. 8
yeah.
was the follow-up of, and here's the rest of it.
That was environmental.
Okay, so those, am I correct that those two are the sum total of BSC's written
Well, there's
comments?
there's a comment letter from August 11th.
August 11th is the sum total. That's
Yes,
not,
yeah,
And so that's got the environmental issues, the notice of intent issues. So, and what's happening here is, I think we need to wrap this concurrent review a little bit more closely so that we're getting the same information that the planning board is getting, and the planning board is getting the same information that we're getting. So I think that is August 11th the most recent, or is that strictly environmental?
no, that's everything. So basically, rather than give you multiple different letters, that last one has everything. So it
And
has,
so is that the one that you?
that's the one that they should work on, and we have a response from, and I actually just opened the response.
And
Agrees.
I don't know, Dominic, the way the response was worded, it sounded like, the applicant was responding to the planning board comments at the meeting rather than the peer review letter. I mean, I may be reading that incorrectly, but I was confused by that.
Yeah, there's some responses to R, and it really seems to be primarily,
Yeah, it's confusing.
yeah, it's planning board, because when you get into the notice of intent, the letters are mostly, the comments are mostly Ecotech to provide response to Conservation Commission. Sorry, Paul.
Okay, so then ball's in Paul's court.
So, and then they responded to really the engineering side of things.
Okay.
So,
we'll need to look at the engineering. Okay.
Yeah.
So Paul,
All
I
right, so
think that's,
August 11 is what I need.
yes.
Okay.
right. Do you have that?
I don't have it. I'm looking in my digital folder, which I try to keep organized. I don't have it. I may have gotten it.
And we'll forward that to, she's making notes now.
Thank you. It'll be on top of the pile. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we're good. I think. at
Yeah,
least-
can I jump back to one thing, Mr. Chairman? On the enforcement order at the channel, part of the enforcement order talked about removal of assertion of removal of stone boulders and stones, I think was the term, at the inlet of the culvert there. And you may not even be aware of it, but I've been thinking about that and took the time to dig through my old photos, and I did find photos of that area. I happen to have a very good photo of that area from the day of the site visit. One thing that raised is I think the enforcement order may have the wrong date on it for your site visit when you
Oh,
when you were looking. But at any rate, I submitted a letter just a couple hours ago, frankly, that had those photos in it. So I guess I would ask the commission to take a look at that and reconsider your position, because I frankly, I think you're mistaken.
okay. Okay. You know, that kind of information we'll certainly take into consideration.
Sure.
Absolutely. Okay, so again, I think we've made progress.
Yep. So we have a number of things we have to get to you. I guess the most immediate is a specification for dealing with the down trees.
Agreed.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may, I was able to get Ethan on the schedule for November 1st to get back and take a look at your soil-based delineation, Paul.
Oh, good. I appreciate that. That's in my list to bring up. So November 1st.
Yeah. He's tightly scheduled, so if that represents a problem, we'd have to push at least a week, probably possibly more than that. So that's not a threat by any stretch, but just to be aware that Ethan's tight these days. So he's challenging to get hold of.
Yeah. Okay. If I can get him in the morning, I have supposed to be at the doctor's in the afternoon, but that's not till 3. So I can work that out. I guess I would ask if you just have him reach out to me directly, and we can coordinate, specific time and time and place details.
Yeah, and we'll keep the commission in the loop on that.
Okay.
Okay, that's good. I was gonna ask you for just that. So thank you.
So,
Next question, Mr. Chairman, is we need to continue this hearing.
yes. Yeah. There's only one meeting in November for the commission. And that meeting is pretty slammed. There's quite a bit of information to be provided, and we'd like to get it well in advance.
Right.
So I'd like to continue to December 14th.
That's fine, Mr. Chairman. I talked to Mr. Petrosi, and we expected that, given Thanksgiving, where Thanksgiving falls, that you might be off a meeting there.
One meeting. All right, I'll entertain a motion to continue the hearing to the evening of December 14th at 7 o'clock.
So moved.
Neil,
Second.
Noel, any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, a quick point of information. Have you or anyone else at the town of Bellingham heard about the question that was still outstanding to hear back from the town of Franklin as to whether this project's going to be able to be viable and going forth? Last I saw in the minutes about this a couple of meetings ago, that was a question that still hadn't been answered.
So I'll let the administrator speak to that.
I don't have anything on that. I think Paul needs to tell us.
Right, so we haven't heard from the applicant, or the town hasn't been notified from
What
Franklin.
we did get, Mike, was we got a notice from the town of Franklin, a certified letter stating that the applicant was in front of the town of Franklin Planning Board November 9th or something for a subdivision.
So Franklin will decide then whether or not, they're going to allow access to a subdivision in Bellingham through their town, I guess.
That's the night of their hearing. That'll be opened.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up, Mike.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 I think that's unanimous. Is anyone opposed? Okay, unanimous vote.
All right, I will see you all on the 14th of December.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Have a good night, all.
Take care.
Have a good night, everybody.
All right, thanks, Matt.
Luck with the remainder of your meeting tonight.
Okay. Well, we're a little bit out of schedule, not as much as we had hoped. All righty. The Bellingham Conservation Commission will hold continuations of public meetings in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act, General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bellingham Wetlands Protection Bylaw on the request for determination of applicability to determine the jurisdiction of the isolated vegetated wetland status as vernal pool. The isolated wetland is located in Assessors Map 87, Parcel 63, Deer Run Road, Bellingham. Tom Schultz, Goddard Consulting, Northborough, Mass, has submitted the filing on behalf of Ron Lucier, Bellingham, Mass. The continuations will be held online via the Zoom option on Wednesday, October 26th at 8, but due to continuations, it was rescheduled for 7:45. Okay.
Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, my name is Ed Casey. I'm a lawyer in Attleboro. My address is 144 Bank Street. And I have been asked by Ron Lucier to assist him in this matter, of these two matters. And as you noted, Tom Schultz has submitted a narrative and additional materials supporting our position that under the State Wetlands Protection Act, that the commission should consider a negative determination. I think that seems pretty clear from the materials. And then as to the request for a determination under the local wetlands bylaw, we understand that, I understand from having talked with Ms. Matthews this morning, that it is the position of the commission that the presence of those two egg masses may be sufficient for you to determine that the local wetlands bylaw has application. I asked Tom Schultz to be here in order to expand upon the information that was submitted to you, but really to ask that you consider granting a further extension. And the basis for asking for that further extension is that I've just come into this recently. I've just put Ron in touch with an engineer who has begun a review of the plans. And it's clear from talking with Ron that he wants to cooperate with the commission, that he understands your role, and he too wants to protect the values represented under the local and the state Wetlands Protection Act. In order for him, though, to pursue the opportunities for perhaps redesigning his lot, he's asking for some time, and that is not a lengthy period of time. I anticipate that if you were to put it on for the 14th of December, we would be able to come back to you and report progress. And at that point, ask that you vote on the issue under the local bylaw, or alternatively, we might even withdraw the application with a proposal that would provide to the commission or to the town additional lands in order to protect land in proximity to that depression. Ron, you've listened to what I've said. Have I said anything? Is there anything else that you need to say or would like to say? If the chairman will permit.
Of course.
Mr. Chairman and Mr. Casey, I think Mr. Casey's said what I was, my intentions are very clearly, and I hope that you accept those. My intentions, stated in my own words, are to work together with the engineer to find a way to perhaps allow for some conservation area to be contiguous with the conservation area that's currently owned by the town, in a manner in which I don't shrink the lot below what the bylaw requires for 40,000 square feet. Because currently I have quite a bit more than 40,000 square feet. And it's all excess land. And it seems as though some of the area that is being required to be protected separates some of the upland that I own from the upland on the more important side. And so I'm looking at it as area that would never be of any use for a homeowner, but it could be of value to environmentalists, that people that think in with regards to conservation. And so I'm trying to figure out a way so that it can be a win for those that have the thinking of environmentalists like yourselves and the Conservation Commission, and for the folks on Deer Run Road that would love to see this project come to a conclusion. I know that I'm looking for ways to help it become as much of an appealing subdivision as it possibly can in what is already a very appealing street in South Bellingham. Deer Run Road is a beautiful place, and this can add to it, but it needs to be completed, and we need to research it a little bit more. And we just began with the introduction to the engineer in the past 10 days, and it's just not been enough time for us to conclude how we can facilitate some of these things that we're thinking about.
Okay, so the filing was for a request for determination of applicability. It's a relatively simple request, and what the request is asking of the commission is whether or not an area is subject to jurisdiction. As Mr. Casey stated, it's obvious that this is not jurisdictional under the Wetlands Protection Act. However, I think that the Bellingham Wetlands Protection Bylaw regulations are quite clear at section 245, where they state that evidence of breeding shall constitute a vernal pool. And by the applicant's consultant's own submission, there were a couple of egg masses there, which is evidence of a vernal pool. So I think that the commission's course in this action is pretty clear. The area is jurisdictional. However, this in no way impinges the owner's rights to proceed with entertaining information from an engineer and planning a strategy whereby they can develop the lot, either avoiding, minimizing, or mitigating this area. So the information that you're seeking from an engineer is the kind of information that would normally be provided in a notice of intent.
So, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate that. That was well said. My concern is that I began by saying that I was with limited knowledge. I'm unfamiliar with the local bylaw. That's not your problem, that's my problem. And I said to Ron Lucia that if there were a positive determination, then it might have an impact on his goal of achieving some different configuration so that the lot might be built upon. And therefore, I was suggesting that it might be necessary for us to appeal that determination made at the local level. I'd rather not do that for a whole host of reasons, some of which are that, as Ron indicated, he wants to pursue this in almost a conciliatory fashion, a cooperative venture. So when I spoke with Tom Schultz, who is, I think, participating in tonight's meeting, he indicated to me that there was a basis to argue the question whether the commission would be correct in determining that the local bylaw applies. And so I'm not suggesting that we would take an appeal without some basis. But to me, to say to wait until December 14 and then make your decision would give Ron Lucier and me some breathing room. And I don't see that it harms the interests of the town or the environment, in that there is no activity that is contemplated or proposed or taking place as of now.
So normally with a request of determination, it's a one meeting procedure. And we've allowed Tom Schultz and Goddard Engineering multiple opportunities to present their arguments. And we have found them not consistent with protecting the interests of the local bylaw. And so what you're asking us to do is to continue again so that you may present us with engineering information that will allow the applicant to develop his lot. And that really doesn't have anything to do with a request for determination. That's the kind of information that we would normally accept in a notice of intent. So, I mean,
yeah, Mr. Chairman, just so that I may not have know that I didn't say it as clearly as I would have liked. The reason that I'm asking for the continuance is simply that it doesn't then put Ron in a position where, if he thinks that there is a prejudice to his opportunity to develop the lot, he then has to take the appeal within 10 days. And I'm saying that simply for that reason, not that we're going to present other additional information. We're either going to say, you're absolutely right, we're going to live with this determination and we're able to do something with the property, or make that determination and we'll see how it plays out in court. It would be one of those two. And I understand what you've said. I've listened to the earlier meeting. I know, having served on local boards myself, how much time is involved. So I don't want to waste your time or the time of the other commissioners. So you've heard the argument, and we'll live with whatever decision you make.
okay.
May I add, Mr. Chairman, may I add that perhaps we can close half of the request by, I think we're all in agreement that it doesn't meet the criteria for a vernal pool from the DEP. So I think we have two different applications before you. One, I think nobody's disputing that we don't have.
We've already said.
So maybe we can have a vote to just close half of it and then just come back for the local part.
The record will show that the commission's in agreement that it doesn't meet the criteria for certification under the WPI. So, I mean, we've already agreed to that. But what I'm saying here is that, you know, this information was memorialized in the planning board permit. And I don't know if Mr. Casey's had an opportunity to review the planning board permit. But in the planning board permit, the 50-foot no disturb zone was adhered to. And the lot was designated as not for building. So the commission was confident in that the vernal pool would be protected. In terms of appeal, the commission is extremely confident that going to court, that our position is rock solid, and I think that the commission's willing to let you evaluate the determination and see if you feel that you have that you need to seek relief.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I just,
That's it.
that's it. That's, okay.
There's nothing more to be said. We've said, we understand the position of the commission.
Does anyone on the commission have any comments? I'll entertain a motion to close the meeting and issue a positive determination of applicability.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
I'm sorry, who moved that?
I did.
Mike, seconded by Neil. This will be by roll call. Is there any further discussion? Michael,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
Neil,
Aye.
Ariane,
Aye.
Noel,
Aye.
thank you. Okay, that's by unanimous vote. Gentlemen, I'm sorry. We'll get this document signed and distributed, and then we'll await your decision.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Good
Okay,
night.
We have to make arrangements to sign.
so we're gonna need to make arrangements for signatures. We have a couple documents that need to be signed. We can't issue, we closed. We have 21 days to issue. I would like to get this out ASAP. I'd like to get it out by week's end if possible. We want to give the applicant every opportunity to review and respond. Who can make the signature dates? Who can help us out with this? Brian,
When would it be ready, Mr. Chairman?
it will be ready tomorrow morning, right?
Yeah.
Be ready tomorrow morning.
Yeah, 9:01 a.m.
Possibility I could get in around noon tomorrow. 1 o'clock maybe. Are you gonna be around all day, Ann?
I have many sidewalks tomorrow.
I think you're on mute, Ann.
If you are coming, I will be there.
Mike,
I'll be there in the morning. I'll stop down, give you a chance to start your
What
coffee.
time in the morning,
Yeah.
please?
I want you to finish half your cup of coffee first, so 9:15, 9:30. Not by 9:30, let's say 9:30.
Okay.
Is that good? Do you want me to make it 10? I'll make it 10.
she has a 9 o'clock doctor's
Yeah.
appointment.
Oh, okay, no, I can go later. I didn't want to be earlier than that.
Okay,
You tell me, 10 o'clock good, 10:30? That's good.
Try 10:30, I think.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
so we got Neil and we got Mike.
Can we do it on Saturday?
Saturday, I can, I got a lot of stuff going on Saturday morning, but could you do like 8:30 or 9?
I can probably roll out of bed that early.
How about
I'll
Ariane?
do it for you. I'll set 5 alarms.
5 bullets. How about 8:30 on Saturday?
Works for me.
I'm guessing a trend that Ariane isn't a morning person.
Oh, I think that's correct.
I am actually, but my phone is not. So
Oh,
sometimes the
phone's
alarms
not a
don't go
morning
off.
So we have Mike, we have Neil,
Oh.
we have Ariane, Brian.
I really don't have a heavy schedule, so but I'll try to piggyback right around the same time as Mike.
10:30.
10:30.
10:30 tomorrow.
that would be ideal. I think it's really important to get as many signatures on this one as possible.
And Neil, maybe you can send me an email and let me know if you can make it.
Oh, I've got a meeting up in Southborough
Mm.
that runs till about noon, but
So,
I don't,
so would Saturday work for you?
or
Fine.
potentially Friday.
Oh, yeah, Friday, sure.
I'll try and make it tomorrow if I can, but it'd probably be around 1-ish. But I don't know if my boss is gonna be there. I don't know if he's gonna want to hang out and chat. I don't know. So
But like Ian said, we have numerous
Oh, I got a bunch of
sidewalks to do tomorrow. And that's usually the time of day where we
oh, okay.
try to do those.
Well, maybe I'll try and sneak down Friday morning.
Friday morning,
That'd be
okay.
excellent.
Maybe you can just send me an email, let me know.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, good.
All right. All right, well, I think that, I don't think there's anything else. I want to thank you.
Oh, there is one more.
Oh,
thing.
one more thing.
A certificate of compliance for Stockholm Street, that was just.
Right. So we have a certificate of compliance to sign for septic repair on Stockholm Street, single family house, septic in the back. We'll go inspect that and we'll have the document ready.
Don't get too attached to them, you know, that whole syndrome there.
Now, go watch out.
All right, guys.
You knew it had to end on this note. Come on now. And you'd be disappointed if it didn't.
All right.
I see, well,
Quick question. There's a septic repair going on at Hartford Ave.
Okay.
Right,
Do we know an address?
Do you have the address?
give me 1 second,
Okay.
please. La, 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 la. It looks like it's at number 441. They're way out front, but that's right next to the rosewood, and the wetlands wrap in pretty close in the back there.
I'll have to check that out.
441.
441 Hartford Avenue.
I'm gonna take a quick look. I can't minimize my screen while I'm recording.
Why don't we just check it out?
I will check it out tomorrow.
Yeah, we don't have to do that right now.
Yeah, because it is out front, but it's a little bit on the side too, and that's, it's right next to the rosewood, so that, that wetland does wrap in pretty tight.
Is it on the same side of the road?
It's directly to the right of the rosewood as you're facing it.
Hey, didn't they just have a septic repair there a
They
couple of
did,
years ago?
they did.
They just had a septic repair there 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I used to know the guy that lived there. He moved out a couple years ago. They probably sold the house and they had to do the septic at that time. So yeah, it probably was a couple years ago.
Yeah,
Well, hang on a second. Let me, where was I?
yeah. Just don't worry about it. See.
The yeah, it's the house right next door.
Okay. Oh. Yeah, all right. That's interesting because they just had a septic repair done there. Well, we'll check that out.
Maybe they got that, what is it, pyroxene or something? So
Was that one of
concrete-
those fancy systems?
I don't remember.
I don't remember. But I remember we
I'm surprised I wasn't, I'm informed of all the septic repairs, so I don't know why that one didn't come.
Well, it sure as hell looks like septic.
Even if they're putting on an addition or a deck or something, we.
No, they're hard up, on the sidewalk. They're in between the house and the street.
That's exactly where the septic was.
Well, maybe it failed. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay.
There was an excavator, piles of dirt, big
Well-
hole in the ground.
Is it possible that they're tying into sewer? I don't know. We'll find out.
They're doing way too much digging
Okay.
to tie into, no, this is, you'll see it when you get there. It is a major excavation.
Well, we're going out on Friday for sure, but Ian will check into that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Inquiring minds want to know. How deep?
Okay.
Somebody's got to keep an eye on North Bellingham.
Thank goodness for that.
I know.
Mr. Chairman, I just had a quick question for Ann, if you have a moment.
Yeah.
My name is Mike Cassidy from Gary and Haldon. We had a certificate of compliance request in for lot 31 Candlelight Lane for Fafford. The last I had heard, there was an issue between the owner and Fafford about removing some trees. But I know you went on a site walk to take a look at that. I just wanted to see if there's anything else that might have came up, or if that's the thing that's holding us up from getting on the agenda.
So there were a couple that were submitted. I know there's a lot too. I don't know what the address, that's 5 Silver Lake Road, I think. 30.
Yeah, this is the one all the way at the bottom of Candlelight Lane, like right at the horseshoe down down the low point.
Okay, is that the one where the woman needs some trees cut?
I think so. I think that's the email I remember. I just didn't know if there's any other results from your site walk or what.
No, I think what happened is that I didn't want to get in the middle of a battle between the applicant and the builder.
Okay.
So if Fafford needs to take care of some trees, then I just would like you to take care of that.
That's what I told them. And I think they're going to be working on that this week. But I just wanted to come here and see if I could get your thoughts on if there's anything else I should be addressing while they're at it. But
I think that is it. I apologize. I think that's the one where walls were put in instead of grading.
yes, I think that happened in a couple places.
Oh, boy.
But I don't know. I don't know if they were the walls and everything were in the buffer. I think the buffer was pretty far back. I think a lot of the times it was just the yard work. That was.
I think you may be right. It was just a grading in the back and the rain garden. It's very unfortunate, though, to be honest with you, Mike, because that property owner is not able to access the back of their house because there are 2 retaining walls now. So they can't even get a lawnmower in the back without going onto their neighbor's property.
Yeah, I am aware of that issue, and I've brought it to their attention. Unfortunately, it's not something that I can manage. But it's that neighbor's telling everybody. So.
So if you could let me know how they make out with this woman and her trees, then we
Yep.
can move forward on that.
Okay, and then you're canceling the second hearing in November, right? So.
The second meeting, yes, it's
Yep.
before Thanksgiving, yes.
Okay, so if they want to get on it for November, they gotta move quick here. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right.
Mr. Chair, do we need to make a motion on that, canceling the meeting?
Yes, we do. Canceling the meeting.
Yes. Entertain a motion to cancel the meeting of the 23rd of November.
Send me birthday presents instead. My birthday.
You sure you don't want to get around? You don't want to meet and no?
We did that years.
Go up
years
to
back.
Mog Lochner's.
Yeah, we did that years back.
Wow.
You can dig in some old bark mulch that's up there from that landscaping.
Vote on that.
So, okay. Do I have a motion on that?
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Okay, that meeting is canceled.
So we're only on for the 9th, correct?
That is correct.
Gobble, gobble.
Wow, Mont Glockners, that takes me back.
Yeah, me too. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for making the arrangements to get the signatures done. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Everyone had the finding of facts. You know, it was vetted by town council. We attended a seminar today with Gregor McGregor, and based on the information we have, I think we're in pretty good shape on that. If they want to go to Superior Court to appeal, it's their right. So, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Bye.
Aye.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good night.
Appreciate
Good
it.
night.
Good night.
And,